There was a lot to take from the news earlier today. Luke Getsy and most of the offensive coaching staff, they were let go. They were fired earlier today. Matt Eberflus is retained back in the mix. So he now has to go out and find an offensive coordinator, a coordinator who will either work with Justin Fields or work with a top pick rookie quarterback going forward. He also has to go out and find a defensive coordinator for his defense here in this offseason. And then Ryan Poles, a part of that decision-making to retain Matt Eberflus, which many people in this city wanted a new head coach heading into next year after this 7-10 start to the season. So a lot to react to. And then also we'll get to Kevin Warren, a true professional. And if you're a Bears fan, it's refreshing to have someone at the top of the organization command the room, answer the questions, and lead the franchise like Kevin Warren is and like he was doing earlier today in front of the media. Because I think most Bears fans are not used to a polished response and presentation coming from the top level exec of the franchise like Kevin Warren brings to the table. Like he brings, he brings expertise, experience, and I feel comfortable with him running the show for the Chicago Bears. So there's a lot to get to tonight over what we saw at Hallis Hall earlier today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, this is a time of somewhat transition for the Bears because both Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus really praised Justin Fields while also not saying that, hey, it's not like we're not going to look at all the quarterbacks in the draft and do all that kind of stuff and weigh all of our options. I think that, a lot of people, we took a ton of phone calls last night about Jim Harbaugh and saying that, if you can upgrade. I was surprised that Ryan Poles said, whether it's true or not, that he went through and did not call any other coaches that have been, whether they've been let go or whether it was Jim Harbaugh or Jim Harbaugh's agent, that was there. I think the other thing, too, is going to try to find an offensive coordinator that doesn't know necessarily what they're walking into right now, right? Like you have to hire an offensive coordinator and you have to tell that person that Ryan Poles, and look, in the meeting, it might be different. In the meeting, Ryan Poles might say to that offensive coordinator, look, we're moving on from Justin. I'm going to look for a trade partner and I'm drafting a quarterback and I need your help finding that quarterback. But as far as you and I, the rest of the Bears fans are concerned, they're going into these meetings with offensive coordinators and saying, hey, we want you to be our offensive coordinator. It could be with Fields. It could be with a new quarterback. We don't know yet because we haven't made a decision on what to do with Justin Fields and what to do with this first overall pick. I think that a little bit might have been given away from what Ryan Poles said and what Matt Eberflus said. Matt Eberflus' exact quote was, this is a long game. We're playing the long game. We're not looking to turn this team into a flash in the pan, one-off playoff team, right? They want to build sustained success. And I wonder, and Ryan Poles echoed that, and I'm wondering if he's looking at this first overall pick and what you can get in return for that pick. And we've talked about it before, the rumors that you could get a first-round pick in 2025, a first-round pick in 2026, maybe recoup that second-round pick for Montez Sweat. Maybe you don't, and you get a player from a team. Like if you move up, if the Raiders want to move up, maybe it's Max Crosby or something like that. Like there are ways to build this football team and stick with Justin Fields as the quarterback because they went out of their way to praise him. And I think that is intriguing as well to Ryan Poles after listening to him today.
To get everyone on the same page, here's Ryan Poles earlier today at Hallis Hall. Did he talk to Jim Harbaugh?
No, I haven't talked to
Ryan,
Jim.
why is this
He's the coach of Michigan. Sorry.
Right, did you, he was not a consideration, you did not see him as a...
No, like I said, we're going with Matt, and I gave the reasons why.
Ryan Poles also talked about the first pick in the draft, and he praised the quarterback, Justin Fields.
We are going to turn every stone to make sure that we are going to make a sound decision for our organization. I did think Justin got better. I think he can lead this team. But at the same time, there's a unique situation where I have to look, and our staff has to look at everything. And that's exactly what we're going to do.
Dahl, you mentioned a theme that we heard from both Kevin Warren, Matt Eberflus, and Ryan Poles. They don't want to be just a playoff team once, the pop up, and then kind of not sustain the success. They want to build something where they're good for a very long time. I would say the one critique, though, on this situation would be looking at it overall and just saying, you didn't make the playoffs, though. Like, Matt Eberflus hasn't accomplished anything. So, like when you look at that and you look at the entire situation, like, I get that you want the sustained success, and just changing to make change doesn't really necessarily do anything. But you keep referring to, you don't want to make the playoffs just once. You haven't made the playoffs. Like, did you catch that too?
Yeah.
They kept referring how they didn't want to make the playoffs just once. You haven't made the playoffs yet with this regime. All three of them have yet to make the playoffs with this franchise.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason that they kept Matt Eberflus, right? Like, I think that they're looking at it, and I keep going back to that Matt Eberflus quote, we're playing the long game. It might be a long con, but we're playing the long game, right? They look at the progress, 3 wins to 7 wins, right? Ryan Poles was asked about the 3 wins that they lost, or 3 losses that came in the fourth quarter, right? If they're a better roster next season, I believe they think that those turn into wins. You're talking about a 10-win team, right? If you get Justin Fields, now he didn't win a couple of those games because he was injured, but he played better this season. He looked better.
Yeah.
With a better offensive line, with a better wide receiver in DJ Moore. And if you go out and you use one of your picks on a wide receiver, if you add a left tackle, if you add a center, whatever it is you do, they praise Braxton Jones pretty vehemently too as well. I don't think they were going to say anything bad about any player. That's not what they do. But if you get a better offensive line, like, I think they're still looking at this, well, how much better can he be next year? And they have to consider everything, right? You have to consider resetting your financial status at the quarterback position and getting 5 years or 4 years before the 5th-year option of cost control by drafting Caleb Williams or Drake May or Jaden Daniels or whoever they decide on, you know? And I think they're looking at sustained success rather than just, if they made the playoffs this year, and they would have kept, like, if they made the playoffs this year and we're not having this press conference and we're not doing this, if we're talking about a playoff game this weekend against whoever it is and they end up losing that playoff game, are they firing anybody? Are they firing Getsy?
No, I think everyone's back.
Everyone's back. So they have to look at the long game, as they're saying. We liked what we did on the field. There are areas where we need to improve. Offensive coordinator. Half of the offensive staff was fired today. So I think that they believe that if they get a different offensive coordinator and continue to build this roster, that this could be a playoff team next year. And that's why I think he's going to strongly consider selling the first overall pick, because then you build your roster for sustained success. I don't necessarily agree with it. I think we've seen everything we can see from Justin Fields in a Bears uniform, but that's what they may be thinking up there.
Towards the end of the season, there was a Thursday night you were off. I was here by myself. And the topic was, it feels as if Justin Fields is improving enough. Matt Eberflus has the team playing for him. And it felt like, to me at that time, I think we're talking like 3 weeks ago. At that time, it felt like Luke Getsy was going to be the scapegoat for why things didn't work the way they were supposed to this season. Mm-hmm. And it felt towards the end of this year that each week that kind of passed, it was going to point to Getsy as the guy that needed to go, even though you could argue there would be upgrades out on the market for a head coach. Like, I understand they want stability. I think it's crazy that they didn't reach out through back channels. I know they may not say that publicly, but I'm surprised that they didn't say, we did our homework and we think that Eberflus is the way to go. If that was the stance, I wouldn't be annoyed with it, because I think that would signal at least they attempted to find out if some of these other options were interested. But the fact that they're refusing to say that publicly, and it's just only Eberflus and they didn't consider that, I think that's a major miss.
Yeah.
I think this roster is good. I think they're ready to go, tailor-made for a playoff run. And that's where the focus has to be for next season. You have to make the playoffs. And quite honestly, if you're not looking for other coaches at this point, that means there's just as much pressure next season on Matt Eberflus as there is Ryan Poles.
Of course.
Ryan Poles has to get to the playoffs next season. You could have changed coaches. You could have done some other things, and we'll see how he handles the quarterback position. But at the moment, it seems like we're leaning towards they may keep Justin Fields. if he runs everything back, you have to make the playoffs next season, or else Poles is going to be on the hot seat just with Eberflus as well.
Yeah, because you had an opportunity here at one of the better coaching crop available.
Cycles. I mean, there are a lot of guys out there who have head coaching experience and who have won previously who are available at this moment.
Now,
there's a lot of them.
Now, listen, I'll say names and people will be like, well, he's going here and he's going here. Mike Vrabel's available. I don't care if he's going to end up in New England or not. You go and you talk to him. Bill Belichick might be available. I don't care if he's going to end up in Washington or not. You go talk to him.
Dan Quinn is likely to go somewhere as a head coach.
Yeah,
He's
Quinn's
defensive
available.
coordinator for the Cowboys. He seems to be available.
I know Pete Carroll is saying that they mutually parted ways and he's going to go to the front office, but you can make a phone call. It doesn't stop you from making a phone call.
Yeah.
Nick Saban's now available.
Oh, please. Nick Saban. And we'll carve out 2 minutes for you to
I need more than 2.
Okay, we'll carve out some time.
This is the greatest coach of all time.
No, I know. We'll address it. I just know here
Not
on
right now. Now
a
I
Bears
understand.
Wednesday, the day of the end of the season press conferences, we can't get to it in the A block here.
I understand that the A block, the B block, the C block is not for me. The D block is for me. Song of the night, Zoo News, Nick Saban.
And Nick Saban, yes. So we'll get to it tonight here on ESPN 1000. It's Black and Abdallah. If you want to join the conversation, you can call us at 312-332-3776. When you heard Ryan Poles say this about Jim Harbaugh, what did it make you feel?
No, I haven't talked to Jim.
Ryan, why is
He's
this
the coach of Michigan.
He was not a consideration. You did not see him as a.
No, like I said, we're going with Matt, and I gave you the reasons why. I think go through. I didn't go talk to anybody.